First off, I want to thank everyone who participated in the mock draft. I'm sorry it didn't go as smoothly as everyone would have wanted to, and I didn't realize that Sleeper did not have the rookies imported into the system yet. That was a little weird. I mean, it feels like that's something you do months ago. I know MFL had them in, I want to say 2 months ago now. I'm not sure. But happy that y'all participated. Really hope y'all enjoyed it. We fixed out the situation. We were able to do it. If you want to get in the next mock draft, make sure you go down, join the group chat if you have not already. I've been talking about it for probably 2 weeks now. I think we've had it going. Really great. A lot of activity. A lot of people talking Dynasty trades, Dynasty strategy. I think there are closing in like 130 people there. There might already be 130, 140. I don't know. Go down, hit the link below, completely free. Just get in there, join the discussion. But we're going to be talking about the Superflex rookie mock draft that we did. Now, don't worry, if you're not in the Superflex league, this is still going to be really actionable. I'll explain at the end of the video how this would differ for a 1 QB league and what the drafts would be. It would just be a little bit different. I mean, all you have to do is really cover up, close your eyes and don't look at the quarterback picks, and then you have a 1 quarterback league right there. But I'll kind of talk about the different strategies at the very end for a 1 quarterback league. Now let's get into the Superflex rookie mock. At the first pick, we see Joe Burrow go off the board. I like it. I'm sorry, I should have put this disclaimer at the beginning. If you're going to get hurt that I don't like your rookie pick, if you're going to be, just let me know why you took him. Comment in the video. And I don't think I'm right all the time. I know I'm wrong a lot, so I could easily be wrong about what I say about your pick, but let's get into it. Joe Burrow, 1 overall. Can't complain about it. Don't know if that's going to be consensus. It was consensus about 2 or 3 weeks ago, in my opinion, but with Jonathan Taylor showing that he may just be an Ezekiel Elliott type prospect, it's going to make it a more difficult decision. The past 2 years in Superflex rookie drafts, we've had Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield both be the consensus 101. This might be the first year in a while that we see a non-quarterback go at that pick. But Joe Burrow, still a great pick, high upside floor. You know that if he proves to be something, if he just shows anything in his rookie year in Cincinnati, he's going to be a top 2 round startup pick. Now with the second pick, we see Jonathan Taylor, who in my opinion is now the running back 1. We could see him be a Joe Mixon, Ezekiel Elliott type running back in the NFL. And if that's the case, he has the ceiling to be really a cornerstone for your dynasty team, and he can be a round 1 NFL startup pick. And if he really hits, like Scott was saying in a couple of videos ago, Scott was going through and kind of just outlining how impressive his athletic measurables were and where that puts him in the comparison to these other top running backs, and he's right up there with Saquon Barkley. Not necessarily in the explosion drills, but when it comes to speed and just body type, he's right up there. He's an extremely gifted running back, and he has a very high floor and a very high ceiling, in my opinion. Then at 3, we see DeAndre Swift. He was the running back 1 for a lot of people, including myself, before the combine. Just complete running back, has a 3-down profile, is going to be a round 1 NFL draft pick, and automatically going to be a starter for your fantasy team. Love the pick. No complaints so far. Can't really, I mean, I could see you sliding Tua in ahead of, I don't know. I don't even know if I would take Tua ahead of one of these running backs. But in my opinion, there's now a tier of 4 in Superflex. That top 4 is just a little bit ahead of the rest, and I think any of those 4 guys could go in any order. But at the 4th pick, we don't see Tua tackle. I am not even going to try saying the name. We see Jerry Jeudy instead, which this is the first pick I disagree with. I can't take Jerry Jeudy ahead of Tua just because Tua is going to be able to check all the boxes if he comes out ahead in the draft and becomes a high-profile pick, because then we can we won't ignore the injury concerns, but we can kind of just realize that they're not as risky as we want to think. But at 5, we see Tua go. Then at 6, we see Justin Herbert, which is really interesting. Justin Herbert rose up a lot of people's boards at both the Senior Bowl and the NFL Combine. It's been very impressive. We know the story. He was supposed to be one of the top quarterbacks in last year's draft class. A lot of people thought that the Giants were going to take him at 6, and then he ended up going back to school. And really, I expected him to kind of be the number 2 quarterback in this class behind Tua. a year ago, and he goes back to school and doesn't necessarily have a bad season, but doesn't have a fantastic season. And we see his draft stock kind of stay the same to where it was a year ago, if not go down a little bit. So very interesting draft profile. I like the pick. He's going to be a starting quarterback in 2020. That's for sure. I know some mock drafts are crazy and have him going at the very end of the first round of the NFL draft. That's not going to happen. He's going to be a top 10 NFL draft pick, and he's going to be very good for your Dynasty Superflex team. Now at 7, this is where I picked, and I was very excited to see this running back here. I take K Dobbins, who did not test at the NFL Combine, so for the past couple weeks, people really haven't been talking about him, but he hasn't done anything to lower his value. It's just that the players around him have gone out and proven themselves to raise their value a little bit, but K Dobbins should still be seen in the same light as he was about a month ago. He's one of the top running back prospects in this class. I think he is the clear running back 3 now, in my opinion, and it's going to be very interesting to see what he does at his pro day. Now at 8, this is another pick that I like, and that is Cam Akers. The thing with Cam Akers is we all know his story. He was the number 1 high school recruit coming out of his class. He was just far and ahead the highest graded player in that class. Then he goes to Florida State and just is in a horrible situation. And he still produces. He still makes the most of it, but he wasn't able to really put up the numbers that a Jonathan Taylor was. And it's hard to separate the running back from the situation, but I do believe that Cam Akers does have the talent, and if he finds himself in a good situation at the NFL level, he can definitely be successful. Now, my one worry with him, which is he kind of helped himself out at the Combine, is I'm afraid he's not going to get the NFL draft capital. Y'all know how much I value that NFL draft capital just because, one, it shows us what the NFL teams, what real scouts view these players as. And even if you don't agree with their evaluations and you don't believe that they really know what they're doing, the even more important thing is a team is going to want to give their high drafted players the opportunity first. If Cam Akers is drafted in the 2nd round and then just say a no-name running back is drafted in the 4th round, Cam Akers is going to get the first crack at the starting job. And it's a lot easier to have the starting job when you have the first opportunity to get it. I mean, it's kind of common sense. So we want players, especially at the running back position, where opportunity is king, to really have that draft capital. And I'm kind of afraid Cam Akers isn't going to check that box. I'm kind of afraid he's like a Hakeem Butler, where the fantasy community is a lot higher on him than the NFL community is. But if he does get that draft capital box, I think he can be better than anyone in this class. He has the ceiling to be a round 1 startup NFL draft pick, which I say that kind of reluctantly just because I also see him having the floor of being a backup running back on an NFL team for the next 3 years, then wash out of the league, which is, I know, it's crazy to say, but that's what we see with these athletic running backs. If these running backs check the boxes to be a 3-down running back, all they need is the opportunity. And if he gets it, I think he's going to be successful. Now at number 9, this is a pick that I highly disagree with. This is A.J. Dillon. Now, let me run through some things about A.J. Dillon. If you don't know about him, he wasn't really on that many draft boards until the NFL Combine. He went to Boston College, and he had some decent production, and he's a massive running back. That's the thing that everyone's comparing him to Derrick Henry just because he has a 96th percentile BMI. I think he weighs like, I don't want to say, like 240 pounds, something ridiculous. Like, this man is big. And then because he put up an impressive 40 time, it gives him an elite speed score. He's in the 97th percentile there, and he can catch the ball. I mean, he isn't great at it, but he's kind of like Leonard Fournette where he can do it. My problem with A.J. Dillon is there's no teams taking him high. No teams giving him that first shot at opportunity. And he's also not that agile where he's going to need wide running lanes. Like, if he finds himself in a situation like Derrick Henry, a running back everyone's comparing him to, in Tennessee that has a great offensive line and is willing to give him the workload and just hand him the ball repeatedly between the tackles, he's going to find success. He's going to be good. I just think that taking him here and betting on that is not smart when we don't know the likelihood of that happening. Now at 10, we see Jordan Love. Jordan Love is another quarterback who really impressed scouts at the NFL Combine. And I mean, I think Mel Kiper or someone, I forgot, one of those big names is on record saying, I think they made like a $5,000 bet or something, that he will be drafted ahead of Justin Herbert. People want to compare him to Patrick Mahomes. He's a big-bodied quarterback with a massive arm. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm a quarterback prospect guru. The best of the best people only get them right 50% of the time. And I'm not out here working for an NFL team. I'm just looking at these profiles and what I think they can be for Dynasty fantasy football and how we can take advantage of them. So with Jordan Love, it's a decent pick at 10. If he does get that draft capital, if he does land himself with a good coaching staff, I could see him having the upside to be a 5-6 year NFL starter. But here's where my problem is. There's 2 prospects left on the board, which I think are clearly ahead of the rest. And they're going to be the next 2 picks. So at 11, we see CeeDee Lamb, fantastic pick. I think CeeDee Lamb, you could have made an argument for him to go all the way up at around pick 7, where I took K Dobbins. CeeDee Lamb is a wide receiver that checks all the boxes. Super, super impressive. I mean, y'all see that I'm a Texas fan. I was at that Cotton Bowl game this year. I saw him just completely destroy us. I mean, he single-handedly beat us. Nobody could take him down. He is very special with what he can do with the ball in his hands, and I think that he's going to have a extremely high ceiling. He can be like an Odell Beckham, in my opinion. He wasn't super athletic at the combine, but he was athletic enough, and we know that athleticism matters more for running backs than it does for wide receivers. So CeeDee Lamb is going to be a top 15 NFL draft pick. He can play anywhere on the field when it comes to, he can stretch the field. He can play in the slot. He can play the traditional X. So CeeDee Lamb, great pick. Now I'm back up, and at the 12th pick, I take Clyde Edwards-Hilaire. And this is kind of, I like this pick for every reason I don't like the A.J. Dillon pick, if that makes sense. I like Clyde Edwards-Hilaire because he is going to get the draft capital. He is going to be a 2nd round, 3rd round NFL draft pick, and teams are going to be wanting to give him the opportunity. And with him, he's fast enough, strong enough, agile enough, can catch the ball well enough, and is big enough to be a 3-down running back. I don't think he's ever going to be an Alvin Kamara. I don't think he's ever going to be a Dalvin Cook. He doesn't have that kind of talent. He's just more of a, he can do it all. He's going to get the opportunity, and he's going to be able to make an impact his rookie year, which will be able to allow us dynasty owners to kind of flip him and at a good value. So I think 12 for Clyde Edwards-Hilaire is not going to happen really that often in any of your rookie drafts. If it does, snag them everywhere. Now at 13, we see Henry Ruggs go off the board. I don't like it, okay? I was on record in yesterday's video saying that I think Henry Ruggs can be the number 1 wide receiver drafted in the NFL draft, but this is, I mean, we have to look at the wide receiver position as kind of different guys. It's like filling out a basketball team. I've heard that. I don't know where I heard that analogy before, but I mean, Henry Ruggs just prototypes as the field stretcher. He's going to be the guy stretching the defense, making space for all the other wide receivers on his team. So I think whatever team lands him, just because of his speed and his deep ball ability, it's gonna be great for their offense. Everyone on the offense is gonna improve, but I don't think he's gonna be able to get the volume to really command this kind of draft capital in a dynasty rookie draft. Kind of similar to Hollywood Brown. I mean, Hollywood Brown, we didn't see his official testing numbers just because he was hurt during the process last year, but we see him come in, and I think he's quietly one of the key reasons that the Baltimore Ravens offense was the best offense in the league this year, just because he's so good at stretching the field. But at the same time, just because you're an amazing NFL wide receiver and you bring a lot of value to an NFL team, doesn't mean you're going to bring a lot of value to a dynasty team where it's a game all about numbers. So don't necessarily agree there. At 14, we see Jaylen Reger go off the board. I'm not necessarily a massive Jaylen Reger fan. I kind of see him in the same light as Henry Ruggs, where I think the NFL teams are really going to like him. A lot of fantasy analysts love him. So I hear some of them pumping him up ahead of the CeeDee Lamb and ahead of the Jerry Jeudy. I can't get on board. 14 is good value for him, though. If you can get him at 14, I think it's a good pick. I'm just afraid that in real dynasty superflex drafts, he's not going to be available this late. Now at 15, we see Denzel Mims go off the board. I don't like it. It's just solely off the fact that Justin Jefferson is still available. Now, Denzel Mims, he's a fast wide receiver. I know that I hear podcasts out here comparing him to Chris Godwin. Maybe that's why I don't like him. I just hear the word Chris Godwin and Denzel Mims in the same sentence, and y'all know my opinion on Chris Godwin. Y'all know how bad he burned me. So I could be biased, but I don't like the pick. You have to take Justin Jefferson here, who goes at 16. Now, if you didn't watch our video yesterday about wide receivers, go down and watch it. I make the case for Justin Jefferson being the wide receiver 3 in this rookie class. Love him. Think he's going to be a fantastic NFL wide receiver and a fantastic fantasy wide receiver. Now at 17, we see Gibson go off the board. And if you don't know who Gibson is, he was a kind of wide receiver running back hybrid in Memphis. I believe he was a kick returner too. So he's a super, super athletic prospect. And I like the pick. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm fine taking these wide receiver running back hybrids at this point, just because we see all these NFL teams able to find roles for them on NFL offenses. Like we see him, he can be like a Curtis Samuel. And I think it's a lot easier for an offensive coordinator to find a role and to develop a wide receiver running back hybrid type player compared to a wide receiver tight end. So I like the pick. I probably would have gone with this next guy though, who went at pick 18, and that is T. Higgins. And now he's a guy that was ranked a lot higher than 18 pre-NFL Combine. And I don't know if he necessarily did anything to fall down. I mean, I don't even, he didn't test. So I think it's just that a case of us hearing all these other rookies' names during the Combine and not hearing his, where he just kind of goes down naturally. So at 18, I think he's a fantastic value. At 19, we see Laviska Shenault go off the board, and I like the value. Honestly, I know in a couple videos ago I was saying that I was going to be off Laviska Shenault, but this is kind of like Jaylen Reger. I think that where he ends up going a month from now in Dynasty Superflex drafts is going to be too high for me, but at this price, I really like it. He's another one of these wide receivers that fell down after the NFL Combine just because he did not test well and he was injured, and we know his injury history is what's going to hold him back. Now, at 20, we see Cole Kmet go off the board. I don't like the pick just because I don't like taking a tight end this early if they don't have the TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant type profile. So I wouldn't go here. I don't necessarily know that much about Cole Kmet. I know he's nowhere close to Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson level, and I just not looking to take that position in a rookie draft this high unless you are a top tier prospect. Now at 21, we see Kelly go off the board, and my problem here is he's just another one of these running backs that I don't think he's going to get the NFL draft capital to be relevant. Now at 22, we see Vaughn go off the board. Same thing. I mean, he's going to be an average. I mean, he's going to be a backup running back on the NFL team, and I don't think he's anything that special. I'd much rather take one of these picks and trade it for an Alexander Madison, a player that I think has a better profile if you really need a running back. Obviously, we weren't available. You cannot do that in this draft, but mainly I think the point is here you want to take a wide receiver or you want to take who went at 23, and this is a player that I thought I pick at 24, okay, keep in mind. And at 23, Jalen Hurd goes off the board. Hurt me deep. I was for sure that I was going to get him. Now with Jalen Hurts, he's most likely not going to be an NFL starting quarterback. But say he does get the opportunity. Say he does get drafted in round 2, round 3 of the NFL draft, and he just goes into a situation where the starter is not necessarily super locked in. Kind of just say, let me paint this picture. Say Jacksonville trades Nick Foles. That report came out earlier today that they were looking to do that. And they have Gardner Minshew going in as their starting quarterback, where he's going to be the undoubted starter week 1 of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the Jags take Jalen Hurts in round 3 of the NFL draft if he lasts that long this year. Gardner Minshew has 4 bad games. Jalen Hurts goes right in. Jalen Hurts goes into any situation in the league just because his running ability. He is going to be a quarterback 1 in fantasy. I'm confident in saying if he can run 80 yards a game, we just see that how valuable these rushing quarterbacks are in fantasy football now. I mean, they've been valuable for a while, but the position is changing. It's taking that next step where I think he is a guy that has the upside to be a quarterback 1 for your Superflex team, even if he doesn't necessarily have a job secured. And, I mean, look behind me. I just have Texas stuff everywhere. This is coming from someone who watched Jalen Hurts beat us this year. I mean, I don't like the guy, but I got to give it to him. It's a good pick here. He has the ceiling to be a good fantasy quarterback. I don't necessarily think he'll be a good NFL quarterback, but similar to what I was saying with Henry Ruggs, we're not looking for good NFL players in our Dynasty rookie draft. We're looking for good fantasy players. Now at 24, I take Pittman out of USC. The thing with him is he's kind of a raw prospect. I don't expect him to be much in year one. Kind of reminds me of a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. He's really big. I don't know if that's just from the Pac-12 bias I have and the body type, but he was a big-time high school recruit, and I think he just has the upside to get some decent draft capital, be a third-round pick in the NFL draft, and have a role in the NFL team. Now at 25, we see Zach Moss go off the board, and I know a lot of people are high on Zach Moss before the NFL Combine. A lot of people had him as their RB6. I never saw it. Still don't. I hate that prototype of a running back that can't break off explosive plays, but just runs between the tackles and breaks tackles to get 1 yard gains. I mean, maybe that worked in 1980, but I don't know. I could be showing my age here, but I don't want that player. This is why I had 0 David Montgomery. This is why last offseason I repeatedly told y'all over and over and over again to draft Miles Sanders ahead of David Montgomery. I don't like the slow, big running back who cannot make explosive plays. So that's how I see Zach Moss, and I'm not going to have him in any rookie drafts unless everyone drastically changes their mind on him and lowers him down their board. Now at 26, we see Brandon Ayuk, who is a wide receiver where we see the same college we saw. God, why am I blanking on his name? N'Keal Harry come out, and we actually saw a lot of NFL draft scouts come out and say every single one of them had Brandon Ayuk graded higher than N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry goes in the first round of the NFL draft. Brandon Ayuk is being mocked there before the NFL Combine, but afterwards he doesn't necessarily put up impressive numbers. He's not bad, but the reason he was being mocked in the first round is just because everyone thought that he was going to be extremely athletic, and he was just kind of athletic. So he definitely fell down a lot of boards. I still like him at 26. Still think he can find his way onto a NFL team, find a role, and I think it's good value. But if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, and I'm being serious. Go down, join that Dynasty group chat. It's a lot of fun. A lot of smart people talking in there. Have a great day, guys.